Let's just show a couple of minutes of progress on our 5-speed project. Here's a look at the two different lay gears. What they've done here is taken a standard A+ unit and machined in a finely fit, probably welded it in, judging. It's hard to see here with my available lighting, but the slight imperfections around the edge here, and then the gear's been kind of faced off, cleaned up, because it no longer uses thrust washers. Here's the standard gear. This happens to be one of the pre-A+ types. You don't have the groove, slightly different gear. This, I'm convinced, is a standard A+ that has been modified by having this insert to spline it, and over here bored out for the bigger lay gear, lay shaft. I'll show you here in just a second. I've got the case all cleaned up, detailed out, painted. We'll let that paint cure here for a day or so. We've got a pile of shift forks to pick from to put it back together and try to get the optimum gates and detents and gear positions working. The fifth gear bits, of course, we're going to have to finesse that so that we can actually select it after the third, fourth gate. Let's dart over here to our trusty solvent tank and show the innards. We've got our shift assembly here with this is the custom made sleeve for the dual lug fork in the center. We're going to finesse the fit and the shimming of this stack of shift forks to try to get the ability to pick smooth gates that line up with the detent mechanism that this setup here has with that spring in the side. Some of the other bits, the input gear end, the first, second slider, first gear, its inner bearing, just the basic stuff you see. Now over here it gets interesting. I put a couple of things together. On the left here is a standard lay shaft, just a solid shaft. This happens to be a two-step from a 4-synchro remote, but they look like this in the rod change also, except for a little step and a couple different bearings, but same idea. You can see the one for the 5-speed. It is a custom made one with a big spline, so that now you spline the gear onto it so that the gear now drives the shaft, which then has a spline on the other end where our fifth gears go. That's kind of the big end on the lay gear, and that's the tiny fifth gear to give you a bit of an overdrive on the main gear, or rather the main shaft end of it. So you can see the difference there, the modifications. This is the way they install. This is the small end of the lay shaft. So it was kind of counterintuitive to take apart. Over here, some progress on the main shaft again. I've put a standard rod change. This happens to be one of the late big thread area here. Uses the bigger nut. So this is about as strong a factory piece as they made. And you can see if you put it next to the same position here, we're looking at the length. The front of it's all the same, but of course back here it gets very custom. The standard one ends right there with the final drive and the speedo groove, you can see. Over here, no, it continues, picks up the fifth gear, which of course has to idle on the shaft so that you can drive it when it's locked. And fifth gear selected. Let's make sure I don't drop anything here. So there we have it, some of the bits, some of the work we have to do, and we'll try to keep posting some of that progress here in the next few days.